pastor appreciates faithful people. And I'm going to let you in on a little secret. One of my prayers is that someday we're going to have standing room only. And it's not going to be a wedding or a funeral. I want to see that happen to God's glory. But is it just enough to come and to sit and put something in the offering plate when it goes by? No, there's more than that. Because in a sense, this is where we come to worship together. This is where we come to have a corporate spiritual meal together. But the service oftentimes is out there. And how we relate to our neighbors. How we relate Monday through Saturday and how people see us. Choose you this day whom you're going to serve, Joshua said. He might have said, are you going to serve God or are you going to serve yourself? Are we going to serve Him and He's going to be first? Or are we going to be tempted sometimes, if we don't have anything else to do, then we give Him the remnant? I have to answer that for myself. Yes, this is my job. And I quite frankly, oftentimes will come in and I'll sit down here where you are. And I'll say to myself, Lord, I wonder if I didn't get paid to do this, would I be as faithful in being here? That question is subjective. I would hope. Because if I'm only doing this because it happens to be my job and what puts food on the table, then I'm pretty sorry. And God will take me into account for that. But as I said, we oftentimes, we pick on our kids. And we wonder what they're doing when they get off to college or in the military or whatever. And they we don't see them as often and they kind of fall away. Because Joshua says something here that's caught my attention. It's when everything gets okay. When we finally get that clean bill of health. Or somebody significant to us that's kept us on our knees finally gets it. Or they get the job, or they get whatever, and everything seems to be going along in a pretty even keel. Am I as spiritual in that moment as I was when everything was going to you know where in a handbasket? But I would say something this morning to us who are older. One of the things that we are tempted to say is that I've served my time. Now it's time for the young people to take over. You know what? I don't see that in Scripture anywhere. It doesn't exist. But what does exist that disturbs the dickens out of me, because it can affect me if I'm not careful, is that you read through Scripture and you find the number of older people who have been faithful in their service to God and in their old age fall away. Solomon. Solomon is a prime example of the wisest man that ever lived, God said. And yet when he got it all together and all the kingdoms were conquered and everything was built, he got distracted by his multitude of wives and fell away from God. Samuel, that great prophet, somehow lost his sons. Great man that he was, somehow he was not able to instill that in his sons. And when it came time for his sons to take over, the people came to Samuel and he had to hear the awful truth. Samuel, we need a king because your sons are not walking with God as you are, and it's your time to go. And we want someone to lead us. What an awful epitaph. The danger of somehow saying, I worked all those years and whatever excuse we can make, I'm older now and I can take the time off, or God isn't paying as much attention to me, or I deserve this. Who knows what the devil will use for an excuse? And it bothers me personally that I can be that kind of person. Being a pastor does not assure me that I can't be tempted and led aside. That I can't get weary in well-doing. That I can't simply decide to ride out the rest of the time. I don't want to do that because I know it is possible to lose the freshness. To begin to live in the past and on the past glories. I won't be there. But it scares me to know the potential is there. And that voice, that word that Joshua gives the people, even though God has blessed you, if you begin to fall away from Him, He will take away that blessing and leave you open for the enemy to come in. Listen to me. Think about that for a moment. If I let up in my love for God, no matter how much God has been able to do with me or through me, if I began to let up in my love for Him and my service for Him and my commitment to Him, then I open the door, because God does not bless me, I open the door for the enemy to come in like a flood, and God will allow it to happen, and there will be things in my life physically and all kinds of ways that God really never intended. But it's because I've got lackadaisical in my old age. And allowed things to come in. Folks, this morning, that scares me. Because it's not only our kids who have to go through this time of finding themselves and finding their faith versus their parents' faith. But it's you and I who have walked in the faith all of these years, who can get disgruntled and apathetic and taking it for granted, and things creep in that steal our blessing, that steal our joy, and our service just becomes kind of matter of fact. We're in church because that's just where we've always been on Sunday morning. And we come because that's where we've always been. And we don't come expecting anything. Think about that for a moment. What do we expect? What do we expect when we come through that door on a Sunday morning? What do we really expect? What do we want to happen? We want that somehow God finds us right where we're sitting. Taps us on the shoulder and says, I know you. I love you. You're special to me. And I know exactly what you're thinking. What do we expect? Do we come, we eat a lot of times when we're not hungry. We really don't get anything out of it except fat. But you know what it is when you are really, really, really hungry. And you can't hardly wait to get to the restaurant or to the table or whatever it is because you're just famished. Food tastes good. I suggest this morning the church ought to be like that. Lord, create a hunger in here. More. Create a hunger. Create an expectancy that something is good is going to happen. And I don't want to miss it. I don't want to miss it. I'm so fortunate. For a period in my life, in my late teens, I was doing some song evangelism work up in a little place called Plaster Rock, New Brunswick, Canada. Man, I used to say, that's the third buckle down on the overshoot. I mean, it was just on the backside of nowhere. But there was a little church up there that things were happening in. And I'd come home from there on a Sunday evening late, and come back across that border and go to work on Monday morning, and I couldn't hardly wait to make my way back up there the next Sunday night to see what God was going to do. It was a church smaller than this. I mean, things were happening. People were getting saved. That place just barely cracked with the presence of God. I knew what it was, even as a teenager, to be excited. Because it wasn't if God was going to do something. You knew He was. And you went there with that expectancy. And you could walk in the door, and from the youngest to the oldest, you could watch in people's faces, and there was just they were like deer in the headlight, waiting for God to move, because something was going to happen. That's what church ought to be like. It comes because people pray, it comes because people are expecting it. It comes because we want it to happen, and we want to be a part of it. And we want to be able to go out and say to people, wow, did we have church Sunday? God was there. And God moved. Sometimes God got all over my toes. And I had to make some adjustments. And that's good too. It's okay. It's a poor God that can't find something wrong with me because my wife can. And He does. And you probably do too. So this morning, as we begin our year together, choose God. Let Him come to us. And as we move through this year, expect the power of His presence to move in our midst. I'm too old, and I don't have that much time left to play church. I'm ready.